Just noticed I clicked the wrong button. So instead of broadcasting on Twitch, we are broadcasting on my personal YouTube. But the other three are correct, so that's okay. Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. We're here to talk about the Disney Wish. There's a bunch of news just dropped on the Disney Wish from an Imagineering showcase, which Jeremiah was lucky enough to attend. So we'll get to it in a second. First, quick introductions. My name is Doobie, co-founder of Laughing Place. Over there is Rebecca, the other co-founder of Laughing Place.
Hey, everybody.
And the guy down there is Jeremiah, the vice president of doing the second best cruise assignment for Laughing Place. And we're going to get started. As we all know, the Disney Wish is going to be launching next year, 2022, Disney's fifth cruise ship. Disney's released a lot of information about what's coming, but recently Jeremiah had the chance to attend an Imagineering showcase where he got to go and kind of almost walk through the Wish in a way and talk to the Imagineers and play with his microphone. So Jeremiah, why don't you tell us all about it?
Wow, my computer just does not like me adjusting the sound. It went down, and now I'm like loud as can be. Yeah, so a few weeks ago, I've often heard of these special secret events that you guys have attended in the past, but I've never done one myself where I can't talk about what I'm doing. I was lucky enough to attend this Imagineering showcase that was pretty much a full day of everything that we didn't know about the Disney Wish. I walked in with just the basic. I mean, we had this concept art, we had 2 or 3 other pieces of concept art, and we knew about the Aqua Mouse. That was about it. I don't know what topic you guys want to start on.
We'll follow you, Jeremiah. You take us where you want to go. We just published on Laughing Place Jeremiah's experience with this preview of the Wish, and he shared kind of 5 areas that he was able to explore and learn a bit more about.
Off the top of my head, I can't even think of that.
Well, I'll lead you, Jeremiah. I'll lead you. So the first thing you talked about in the article was something near and dear to your heart, based on your experience, and that is the Oceaneer Club.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the Oceaneer Club. I mean, you guys had just talked about in the article about Gideon and the changes to the Oceaneer Club that you guys experienced on the cruise the other day. The couple of times I've been on the ship, I've taken a total of 3 cruises and have been on each of the ships for tours. And for me, the Oceaneers Club, I always felt wasn't fair because I could only spend like 5 minutes in there. And those were the old ones. This new one is just amazing. And they haven't even released all the information on it, which was one of my favorite things. They kind of went, okay, here's 3 of the things. And they showed us this map that had 2 empty spots. So we are assuming that there's 2 more areas to come. We don't know for certain. This one is the castle area, which will focus on the princesses. But it's not just, when a lot of people hear princesses, they think, okay, it's just for the girls. This has Frozen, Tangled, and I can't think of the third one off the top of my head because, again, I've got everything else in there. But you can see the boys in the background, and they're playing in the Frozen section that has a lot of the interactive hand movement games, kind of like we used to be, but they're based off of like Snoogies from Frozen Ever After. And the stuff they were showing us was just so cool. And again, I don't get to play this other than the 3 seconds I'll be in there.
Now they do have open house
Yeah.
during the cruise, which I'm surprised how many fans do not realize that this is a time period when you are permitted to go explore this zone, even if you aren't its intended clientele. And they do let parents know that ahead of time, that these hours are a time period when this area, is open to all, so that, you're not taken by surprise with that. So we've explored, but even before Gideon, we were able to, learn a little bit more about the Oceaneer Club and Oceaneer Lab. Jeremiah, they also highlighted with you this Imagineering element of the coming Oceaneer experience aboard the Disney Wish.
So now I have my booklet that I had to take notes on everything, very old school. So now I have all my information. Yeah, the Oceaneers Club, for this one, that kind of takes things that we've seen in the past in different areas, namely Innoventions and um, Disney Quest, and brings it to a whole new world. What you're seeing there is the WDI Blue Sky to Construction, and that's the ride builder. And to the right is Big Thunder Mountain, and to the left, we believe that was Space Mountain, which they haven't said is, well, so there's two ride builders, and the ride builder is very much like it used to be at Disney Quest or at Innoventions, where you take the pieces of the ride and you put it all together. With this, they were showing how Big Thunder you can select the track and how you want to do with that, and then you put it all together and then you experience it. And they have Big Thunder and Matterhorn as the two initial games, and then the third one that you would actually unlock will be Space Mountain. After you've done the other two,
Gotcha.
you have a third one, so there's replayability for it.
Yeah. And then one of the elements you mentioned about this area that I thought was also rather cute is that you might get visits from the Imagineering mascot, which is Sorcerer Mickey. And I always enjoy when Sorcerer Mickey kind of makes an appearance, because it's not as common of a look for Mickey for everyone to engage in. Just a minute ago, we were talking about what they're calling the Fairy Tale Hall, and it's going to comprise the Rapunzel's Art Studio, Belle's Library, and then this Frozen fun game that you see over in the side, where gestures will cause like snowball fights and that type of thing, featuring the Frozen team. But I think, and then the other area that you got to explore was the Marvel Superhero Academy. Can you tell us a little bit more about what we can find there, Jeremiah?
Yeah, that one was, we've seen the Marvel stuff in some of the other ships. They have a smaller area, but these aren't just little alcoves like we've seen in the other ships. This is a full area. I don't want to show you the map because it is so crude, but the space is almost like a full room, where it's not just, oh, here's a little corner. The Marvel Superhero Academy, yes, you'll have visits from different superheroes, but there's two things that you can do in there. There's a motion-based flying game where you pretty much will dodge and move as you fly through, and you get to create your own super suit. It's very much like Iron Man, where you take the pieces and put it together, and it's like the magic mirror type thing, so you can picture yourself in it.
You can see this in progress in the background. In the center screen, you can see the familiar activity cast member with the yellow and blue striped shirt, and then there's a kiosk, and you see a young man standing there and interacting with the screen. So very that's a pretty cool idea that you would be creating your own super suit. That, I guess, are you then wearing that as you participate in this gesture-based game, or are those very separate?
It sounds like they're very separate.
Okay.
That was one of the things they talked about, was the superheroes are two different games. So you'll have that. One of the things about the entire area is you're helping Shuri with the Wakanda design group. That's what it actually is in there. So it ties to Black Panther, it ties to Iron Man, it'll tie to Spider-Man. But while you're playing in there, you have the voice of Friday, the artificial intelligence from the later Iron Man films. and she is helping you out doing these designs and that type of stuff. Friday comes in play throughout the cruise for the kids and even into a later activity, which we'll talk about as we go on. But the Superhero Academy was one of the biggest parts. For me, the Blue Sky Construction was a very fun take on it and what they're doing as opposed to the current Oceaneers Club where it's just kind of, you go in and play. This is actually going to track kids' scores.
Okay.
So there will be more interactive. Go on, Dewey.
I just want to ask, I've read ahead, so I saw some of the talk about the interactive game on there and what you're just saying here. It feels like they're kind of making the cruise an overarching story as opposed to just, day, do what you want, but they're actually trying to create a story throughout the cruise for those who want it, I'm sure. Did you get that sense too, or did they explicitly say that?
Oh, no, it is very much, they're going with the old Marty Sklar thought of you don't just make a ride, you make an experience. And this is going to have multiple experiences that go on throughout the day. And even towards the end of the cruise, when we get into the Uncharted adventure, there's a whole backstory to that starts way early and ends on the ship.
One of the things I noticed in your discussion of the kids zone is that they're moving it down to the second deck of the ship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it sounds like there's a fun way to enter.
Again, one of the first questions I ask, because I'm a big kid. So where the Oceaneers clubs in the past have been
five.
Yeah, five. And you go in, you drop your kid off, and you don't see them until dinner or when you have to come and take them away. This is, you walk into the Grand Hall. It's no longer called the atrium of the ship. It is now the Grand Hall. And to the corner, there'll be the check-in desk for the Oceaneers Club. You'll walk over, you'll register the kids, they'll get their magic bands, and then they get to be like Alice and go down the rabbit hole. Yeah, I believe it is.
Like on this picture, you think we should be able to, like, maybe that hallway towards the side over there?
Yeah, to the right, that desk-looking thing, that is the desk that we got.
Okay.
We've heard you walk in and it's right there. Kids will slide down.
Oh yeah, I see. It says Oceaneer right there on the picture.
Okay, good.
Right here, it says Oceaneer.
Hey, look.
Ta-da!
And they'll slide down and land in Wonderland type. And they go in and then they get to experience everything. This could be where in some of the concept art you've asked Rebecca about some of the designs that we've seen and not knowing where they're going. Mm-hmm. They could end up in this area with the different sconces. I know that there was a giant Cheshire Cat head in one of the pieces of art that we got to see. Okay. So the Oceaneers Club is no longer just a few hours or the entire day for those lucky kids. It will be the wake up in the morning, go down the slide and do that again. And something that they've changed is they're going to have an open house door. So parents can walk up and look in the door and see their kids playing, as opposed to, the only time parents could go in was open house or to have to drag your child out by their ear.
I like the idea that periodically I'll be able to peek in and see the fun. Unfortunately, Gideon will have aged out by the time the Disney Wish launches. He's quite disappointed, but
we're trying to see what we can do about that. If there's some way we can,
like some magic,
fudge his birth certificate or something.
Magic potion or something. Yeah, there you go.
And they are keeping the Small World area. For the infants, but they're expanding that also. Gideon, you and me both. You actually get to play in this area. I don't.
Oh, can we move on to my favorite part of a Disney cruise, and that is the fun found on the upper deck. I just came off the Disney Dream where I went 22 times around the top deck of the Disney Dream on the Aqueduct. I am eager to hear more about this Aquamouse, Jeremiah.
So the Aquamouse, and this one, I think I wrote down the most notes on this just because the details they were giving us were so entertaining.
It's 760 feet of tube. I know that you're gonna be stepping into the world of Mickey and Minnie as they start their own seaside excursion company called Port Misadventures. So you can only imagine the fun.
Which is a very cute name. And one of the things that they did that was not announced prior to today is we had the scuba. Where is my
Scramble?
note?
It's Scuba Scramble. No worries.
Scuba Scramble was the only thing that had been announced, but they showed us the Swiss Meltdown, which will be a second adventure. So, and one of the questions we asked was, will this be something that, you go on it back to back? Will it be something random? What they're looking at is switching from day to day, the adventures. So the first day may be Scuba Scramble, then Swiss Meltdown, but that'll change as it goes. And it's...
Yes, Doobie.
Well, I was going to say, if they're changing it from day to day, then inevitably, right, Jeremiah, we'll have Star Wars Scramble and Marvel Meltdown at some point, right?
I hope so. That's my hope.
I don't think so. I think they're going to focus more on and these are based off the Mickey Mouse shorts that are as of late.
Yeah, Swiss Meltdown is based on the short Yodelberg, and it'll have Mickey and Minnie on a mountain sledding excursion, but then the snow will begin to melt, and it'll cause this frantic dash to the mountaintop to avoid these avalanches and leaky waterfalls and rock walls falling and all kinds of fun. So.
And they showed us both the videos, and they're both super cute. One of the things that they talked about is because it's a two-person raft, the first person will see something as they're coming in, but the second person can't. So each of the videos will last long enough so if you're in the front, you'll see something, and you're in the back, you'll see something a little bit different. But the portals are 85-inch monitors that have interactive, when the snow melts, you'll get splashed, or you'll see the lighting change as it goes dark. And as you're going through, there are 9 portals as you go through just the dark portion of the attraction.
Oh, wow, okay.
So it is boom, 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 boom. And they have hidden things in there. One of the most important thing they pointed out was Chippendale will appear at the end in both of them. I only saw them in Swiss Meltdown. The Scuba Scramble, you're going by so quick, you'll have to go on multiple times just to see that.
It did look like there's a bit of a redesign to the transport itself. Is that something you noticed, Jeremiah, or?
It is a two-person raft. I can't remember the aqueduct, how it was set up the last time, because that's been far too long. But thank you for not grabbing the photo that I put up on my Facebook of me in it.
I thought about it.
It is comfortable. That is one of the key things. It
seemed to have an actual back to it.
No, it's more of just there's the center part. It is still the raft.
Okay.
And you also don't have to carry the raft, because you will come around, you'll exit at one spot, the raft will move up to the load. So it's a continual, not, I have to get off, and but I can almost guarantee this line is not going to be for the faint of heart, because I know that'll be my first stop. Usually on the aqueduct, I would go on the, when we're at port, go ride it when everybody's there. I'll be going nonstop.
Yes, Juby.
Was there any mention by anyone just assuring us that this is not going to be an upcharge like it's so common on other ships?
I did talk to them about that. They said that it is something that is operations based, because they just design it, but it did not come across as any type of upcharge. And I feel confident in saying that it won't be. But we may have to get our Cruise Plus or
too soon, Jeremiah. Too soon.
Want to get served first in Enchanted Garden?
Yes. So,
You guys are so
the ride actually starts under one of the funnels and goes all the way through the other funnel and comes back through the other funnel. So you are going through both, including the back funnel is almost like a lazy river type part of it. So
Aw.
after you've gone through the speed blaster, you'll slow down and go through that. And one of the my favorite parts that they talked about is because of the funnel suites, you're actually going like right behind a funnel suite when you go through.
Okay.
So they had to design it. They designed the funnel suite with much more of the sound dampening as opposed to some of the rooms that I've been in on the cruises where I could hear the Walt Disney Theater right beneath me.
Well, one of the things that I noticed in the design was that it seems to start off with a lift hill. So am I to believe that there won't be the same amount of stairs in order to initially access this, or?
Yeah, it is actually going to load on the level, like right next to the Toy Story Water Fun play area. It's going to load over in that area. If you bring up that first photo.
I will. Just give me a moment. You talk, I'll do that.
Yeah, you'll load there, and then you'll go up, and then that's where you'll actually see the story.
And
I love that.
I'm really excited about that because that'll make it a far more accessible attraction than it has, because currently there's about 60 plus stairs involved in riding the Aqua Duck. I myself struggle with stairs, so I, slowly make my way up the stairs. I let people like, you can go by me, but I do it. But
let me just make it clear, Rebecca, who does struggle with stairs, she is honest about that, struggled 22 times on our recent
but over the course of many days, I would like
2 days.
I do some in the morning, I would do some in the morning, some in the afternoon, some in the evening. I spread them out.
That should tell you how great the aqueduct is, the fact that she honestly does struggle, but still did it 22 times.
Yeah, the design is you'll load, and in between load and unload, there's actually a disability access load area.
Oh,
so you won't be, there may be some normal stairs to go up to the load area, but for the disabled access, it will be a special load area.
That's really huge, because I mean, if you're truly wheelchair bound or just can't do that, you've never been able to do the aqueduct. That's really, really big news.
Yeah, I mean, there have been times in my life where I would not have been able to have done what I was, what I did this past trip. So, the idea that this would still remain accessible should I find myself in that place again is also exciting, just on a personal note. But the idea of and by the way, I've seen that in a lot of the images regarding the Oceaneer Club and just everywhere. This does seem to be much more front of mind. I know that they've added the additional key, and I know in many ways that making things much more available depending on your ability and your personal situation there is part of that, and I'm grateful to that.
Yeah, and to correct my misstatement, the design of the raft does have some backing. I mean, I will show this. That is me in the actual raft, and then I'll zoom out to show you how silly I just completely look.
Yeah.
And there is a small backing between it.
Yeah, so that's cool, because the current rafts are more like two inner tubes that they've kind of mushed together, so that the way the seating is, these look a bit more accommodating in that way as well. Because if you don't have the core stability, you would still have that support, which is helpful to making sure that a wider base of individuals can experience this attraction. Do we want to move on to talking about this Marvel Quantum Encounter?
The World of Marvel. Yes, this was a fun one, because they had pretty much a mock table set up and one of the screens, and then we sit down and they're going to start to tell us about dinner. Just to lay this out, there are spoilers that will be said, and I tried to avoid as many spoilers in my article, but since we're doing it live, there will be some spoilers. There are 100 tables, 700 seats. each table, as you can see there, has a quantum core, and that's part of the whole storyline, because you'll walk in and it's a 3-part story. The first act, you're introduced to Ant-Man and the Wasp, and they kind of go over the basics of what's going on, what the quantum core is. The quantum core has different lighting effects. It's a speaker and has buttons so you can interact with it.
Okay.
So you'll be looking up at the screen, and what they showed us was somebody left a cupcake in the Oceaneers Club. And Ant-Man's kind of like, hey, let's have some fun. Let's push the button, and they showed the little cupcake expand to a massive cupcake, and then they make it shrink. So there's lots of fun of that. Don't get too excited, Doobie. I will spoil the dessert for you if you want. And then the second scene is the dinner service, and that tells the tech story of all the different Iron Man tech, Pym tech, everything that goes into the worlds of Marvel. And they'll be showing footage from the different MCU films, including like Wakanda stuff. They will give you stuff to enjoy during dinner where you don't have to worry about pushing the button or paying attention to the story. Which to me was kind of one of the things of the animator's palette with Crush, when he would just kind of pop up while you're eating. It's like,
Right.
And then the finale, it takes 8 minutes, and what happens going back to the Oceaneers Club and the Marvel Superhero Academy, when Friday is talking to the kids in there, Ultron tries to break in to get information about the quantum core and some of the stuff that's going on the ship. So that happens in that part. During dinner, Ultron shows back up, and that's
Nice.
as we're sitting there, Friday starts talking to us. Ultron busts in and is just like, "Excuse me, I'm just looking for files," runs through things, and then Ultron brings some of his little fighting bots to life, and they start attacking the ship. So you'll see footage from outside in the hall with Captain America or Ant-Man fighting the Ultron killbots.
Gotcha.
And then, as of course they end up defeating them, Ant-Man and the Wasp will come through as the next photo shows, and that'll wrap up the entire event. And then I think the girl's hand has the spoiler. You get a mini cupcake for dessert. One of the shrunken cupcakes that happened because of the quantum
core. I want a big cupcake. Is there an option for a big cupcake?
I don't think so. I
hope they offer you a Pym cupcake from Vanellope's or whatever Vanellope's. Can you imagine if you could order one to your table? You like.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that hasn't even been talked about is the sweet area. So, they gave us the start, and they kept saying there's still more to come, and we were like, okay, we want it all now.
I don't think we know much about the upper decks at all. What pools they'll have? They're the adult pools, or
there are certain pools, and they're going to be situated more like in an amphitheater. So you'll have a top pool and then the 2 lower pools.
Okay.
They showed us, they took us into the dish, which those of you not familiar, Walt Disney Imagineering has a virtual reality room that you stand in, and you stand in one spot and they can take you to different levels of the ship. You want to see the Oceaneers Club. And they took us in there, of course, with everything as it is. We can only see the projection, but they were telling us how when you have the VR on, you feel like you're actually on the ship turning around. And they showed us some of the basic designs of it. They didn't give a lot of details. One of the nice things is the main pool. It's going to be just like the pools are now, where you can pull the cover over it. And that'll be the stage for everything on the upper deck. And there's going to be lighting and LCD screens or LED screens behind it. So instead of them having to bring up this weird banner for the parades or whatever, they'll actually be able to change the background.
Oh, wow.
Should we venture on to the Hyperspace Lounge, or should we explore this interactive adventure that we're all going to get to do? Do we?
I just want to say World of Marvel looks amazing, and I'm not a Marvel fan at all. But they kind of started this with Rapunzel's Royal Table and Tiana, where they turned dinner into a show, and this seems like just the next level. And
Yeah,
I would not be surprised, honestly, if this surpasses Capone's in terms of dinner show quality. So I cannot wait to try this out next year.
As I called out in my article, one of the things they took into consideration is Animator's palette is really just a huge wide open room. So if you're in the center, you don't have a chance to interact with some of the screens because they're so far away. Right. They redesigned the area, so it'll be like 4 tables kind of in a space. It's not walled in, so you don't get the claustrophobic feel, but you will not be more than 1 table away from a screen.
Oh, Bob Newell's asking, the base of those, it's still similar to the way it has been. It's kind of that thick, flexible material, right, Jeremiah?
Are we talking about the dinner show or the
the
yes, it is still soft.
Yeah, it is still very similar to the base of the current. More like if you were to have an inflatable raft at sea, that kind of feel. So should we go beyond the midship agency, or should we to the Uncharted adventure game, or should we go to the Hyperspace Lounge?
Let's go to Hyperspace Lounge. What do you have to say about Oga's Cantina at sea?
Definitely not Oga's Cantina at sea, even though one of the questions we did ask, and we had a chance to talk to some of the actual creators, and one of the people who came up with what you'll be looking at was somebody who worked on both versions of Star Tours.
Okay.
So my first question to him is, are we going to see Rex? And he said, no, we're not, sadly.
Aww. But so let me set the scene just a little bit for everybody. This window that we're going to be looking at, it's 20 feet wide, and it's going to have more than 16,000 pixels in order to give you the state-of-the-art, like a window to the world beyond. You're going to see Tatooine, Mustafar, Batuu, various planets like that. But Jeremiah was able to learn a little bit more about maybe what the experience just inside. We had that general idea already, but I know you learned a little bit more about what's this holotube.
Yeah. So excuse me, let me set up how you'll actually enter this, because it's not just going to be walking in. It's not going to be like okay, we're here. This is, you'll walk into a dark room that'll have the door.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it'll actually feel more like a real, you're walking into something in a galaxy far, far away.
Nice.
The bar isn't massive, or the lounge, I should say. They had a map set up, and there's only the one window. So that is one of the things that you kind of go, okay, well, but as Rebecca said, it's 20 feet wide. It is pretty massive. So wherever you're sitting, yes, everybody will want to sit on those benches, but wherever you're sitting, you'll be able to see what's going on. And for those of you who may not be close to the window, I believe to the right, on the far right is actually a display of, they have props and that kind of stuff, but they have holotubes in there. So as you're flying over the moons of Endor, you may see whatever ships are flying past in a holographic design.
Oh, wow.
And they had that for us, and we were staring at it for quite a while, and that it was actually one of the ones that they're going to install. So it's not just going to be, it's.
So you're saying that in essence, there's a 3D model in a way to you visually.
Yeah, visually a 3D model.
Is a 3D model of this Endorian ship, or a ship that you saw flying over Endor.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah,
so
and
experience it differently. Oh, that's cool.
There's going to be so much to just sit there and get lost in. So the Hyperspace Lounge is on deck 3. It's on the port side. I knew that you guys would be interested in that because ships. You will, during the day, entire families can come in. but in the evening it does turn into an adults only lounge.
That's interesting.
You'll be able to see Tatooine, Mustafar, Batuu, Coruscant, the moons of Endor, and you'll have flybys from the Ace Squadron that are featured in the most recent, well, I guess not most recent, but Star Wars Resistance
Yes.
cartoons that were the ones just before Bad Batch. Um, it is designed kind of like Dryden Voss from Solo, or Kento Bite. So it has the fancy feel to it.
And yeah, very opulent, lots of golds and
Can you show it again?
Sleek lines. Yeah, I was getting ready to do that.
You can see the bartender in there. And one of the things that they made a point in calling out is Doug Chang, who is, if you're a Star Wars fan, you know Doug Chang. He's the person who's designed things from episode 1 to today. And he designed the costumes and had a lot of input on what was going on in the background. So you'll be sitting there watching, you're flying over Mustafar, and you'll see ships flying down that you may or may not recognize. We were able to see the ship from episode 7 that Han and Chewie are on when they take over and they capture the Millennium Falcon. In the movie, we only saw just a small bit of it on the interior. They had to actually create what the ship would look like on the exterior. They showed that the port opened, so you'll be watching these ships just passing by.
Wow.
And one of my main questions was, are we going to possibly see the Halcyon? And they said yes. And it'll be the best view of the Halcyon that anybody will have, because it'll be the only exterior view of the Halcyon anybody will have. And then they also, again, because one of the creators was somebody who worked on Star Tours, you'll not only see Star Speeder 1000s from Star Tours The Adventure Continues, but you'll probably also see some Star Speeder 3000s. So
did they talk at all about any of the interior stuff, like I don't know, any theming as far as the bartender, or any like a robot bartender, or any of the fun stuff that might be happening inside?
It's all human. The interior is you are immersed in the world of Star Wars. So instead of behind the bar, there's a bottle of Jack Daniels. Off to the right, you can see the beer taps and the bottles, because they're at sea, they don't have to keep Jack Daniels in a Jack Daniels bottle. They can put it in a thematic bottle that fits. So if you walk up and you want a specific drink, they will reach down and grab, some beautiful crystalline bottle and pour a basic alcohol out of it.
So they can have a lot of fun creating familiar drinks like a rum and coke, but yet it would have a completely unique in-story name and branding and experience, so you don't kind of lose that immersiveness simply by ordering a drink. That's cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. Skyline Lounge isn't, which I think is really cool, and it's the most similar to this, is not a particularly popular location, but now with the Star Wars IP and especially its location, more or less off the Grand Ball. What are they calling it again? It's not an atrium.
Grand Hall.
Grand Hall. I feel like this is going to be extremely popular. They discuss anything about access or anything that might relate to that?
They didn't talk about, the limits or that type of thing. I think that's where they're coming into the having it open from morning or, early afternoon to the evening, so everybody can experience it. Each of the scenes will last anywhere from 7 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
So, you could be in there for almost an hour and not see everything, but I'm sure me, Rebecca, Mike C will be sitting on those benches just taking notes of what's flying past us
and drinking away.
And was there any mention of whether this location would also feature entertainment? I know some of the other lounges at times will have like a piano player or something like this. Did they mention any kind of in-story element regarding that?
This is just a basic lounge.
Okay.
There will be soundtracks for each of the planets. One of the other
Skyline.
redesigns, the redesign the ship. So instead of all the clubs being in this one corner, they'll
Mhm.
actually kind of take up an area of the ship. So it'll be each level.
Oh,
Okay.
that's an
Yeah.
interesting choice. Okay,
Yeah.
Now that's news.
I like that.
Again, there's lots of things that they told us that wasn't like the main focus. And, again, the three of us are like, wow, that's going to be there. And that was stuff I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
But then
totally.
at the same time, we were focusing more on that. There is Nightingales, and this is going off of this topic for a little bit.
That's fine.
Nightingales, which is a piano bar, and it's based off of the Cinderella, Sing Sweet Nightingale. Like the chandelier is actually going to have the notes wrapped around in it, so you'll be able to walk up and Doobie can read the notes perfectly, so he could sing the song just
I
like
can read them.
The color scheme of that lounge was gorgeous
Yeah.
in the video that they had shared previously. So, in essence, were you taking a virtual tour of the whole ship? I mean,
No.
Okay, so you saw
Yeah.
these 5 zones that you wrote about.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so I can stop being terribly jealous. I can be just a little.
They showed us different things. I mean, there were a lot of the stuff that has come out. They showed us the concept art, which was good for me because I stopped paying attention when I got this invite because I wanted to see what was going to come out of it. So there were definitely things they're like, oh, and we've seen this. I'm like, I haven't seen this. Wait, this is really cool.
Yeah, very cool. Let's see. I am dying to talk about this new adventure that they are launching on board the Disney Wish. And
Not just on board the Disney Wish.
Okay.
The Disney's Uncharted Adventure. This was the they teased us with a lot of things, but this was the only thing that we really didn't know anything at all about. And we were all, there was a bunch of us, so a lot of us were going, so there hasn't been any talk about a midship detective or a midship type thing. So they started talking about the Disney Uncharted Adventure. I'm trying to get all my notes up about this.
No, that's fine. I gotcha. I'll share the quote that they have regarding it. They say, we are infusing the Disney Wish with innovative technology like augmented reality, physical effects to create a hidden layer of magic that can only be unlocked with the Disney Uncharted Adventure. You might admire a beautiful painting today without realizing that hidden right beneath the surface, there's a horde of mischievous Kokomora from the world of Moana just waiting to escape and wreak havoc on the ship. A digital menu board might showcase what's for lunch in the afternoon, but later it will host a cooking lesson in Tiana's own kitchen.
Yeah, that was kind of what they sold us on. They said, okay, so this is what's going on.
I am so pumped. I'm so excited for this. We just got off the Disney Dream, and I can't tell you how many of those paintings I kept stopping in front of and waiting for them to do magical things.
Yeah.
And this sounds like kind of that, even like a next level of fun with that. And as Doobie knows, he has to peel me out of Galaxy's Edge as I try and scan things and look at things. And once again, this sounds like that experience, but even in a more engaging sense, and honestly in a story world that is much more entertaining to me.
Yeah.
I love Star Wars, but this idea of this at sea adventure with the classic villains and the classic heroes is so exciting.
Yeah, this was, I think my favorite part of all this was there were different varying levels of the media there. There was a couple of, Disney nerds, and then there were people that had maybe done a cruise. This got everybody engaged and everybody excited. So, you guys have booked your trip on the Disney Wish for next
summer.
Yeah. As soon as this comes live, you'll be able to go on the Play Disney app, Play Disney Parks app, and Mickey and Captain Minnie and Admiral Mickey they have different artwork for them, but it's Captain Minnie, no matter what, Captain Minnie. They will be there to welcome you and to tell you all about what your adventure is. So instead of, you book it and then you have to wait 6 months to get on a ship and start playing, you will start to get information right away. And they will talk about how your phone will be a magical spyglass. So you get on the ship. This is one of the challenges. Uh, you will start looking around, and you can do this in your cabin. You can be sitting in your cabin, pull out your magical spyglass, look up to the stars, and see the different constellations, such as Dory and Nemo, or there's the trumpet. There'll be Moana, uh, Peter Pan. Yeah, so you can see how Peter Pan is kind of set up so you see his stars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So,
and then I can see the similar with the Dory and Nemo constellation.
Mm-hmm. And then you'll look up straight up, and then you'll see the magical wishing star. As you're watching it, the magical wishing star, something happens, and the magical wishing star breaks into pieces and falls out into these different locations that all revolve around this game. So
wow.
instead of Gonzo telling you need to go to this window somewhere, you will get to choose, okay, I want to go to the EAC and try to recover that piece first. So then you'll go and you'll experience a Dory and Finding Nemo type adventure. The one they showed us was the Tiana, where you'll go, you'll help her, or she'll help you get the piece of the wishing star, but she's really busy. So what you need to do is help her create her gumbo, her world famous dad's gumbo. And the portrait will take you inside her restaurant. And you'll be sitting there. I think if you bring up that other photo of them doing the game,
that one,
you'll be sitting there. And you don't have to sit with it in front of your face like this.
right?
You will have it out, and it'll tell you what to do. So what they're doing here, I believe, this is where they're putting in the hot sauce.
Yep.
And the entire team, there can be one person or there can be everybody, as long as they have a magical spyglass, which, yes, some of the kids don't have their own magical spyglasses, but that's where, parents will have to give up their phone. So you'll all be, okay, you need to put in this much hot sauce. So everybody starts to turn their phone a little bit, and the hot sauce will start to go, and then you'll see it cross over the bottom line, and then you have to stop it really quick before it goes too much.
You can see the little temperature gauge right here, this visual that they have, and these are from the video that that was published today, and the link will be down below. It's here on the Laughing Place YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. Look at the this onboard adventure. Well, and I guess even, before you get their adventure.
Yeah. And some of the other things are like, you'll stir the pot. So you'll do this with your phone. Or the soup is too hot, so you have to blow on it to cool it down, but not too much.
That caught my eye when they said that you'll be able to blow on the phone to but in some ways, Juby, this is like the next step of what we just did with the muster. Because when we came on board, no, but I mean, it's in essence, when we came on board, the muster drill, you used to have to go put on your life vest and stand on the deck and all that kind of thing. Now they tell you what your assembly station is. You take your cell phone, you walk towards your assembly station, you lift up your cell phone to where the assembly station icon is within the view of your camera. Boom, you get the little ding, check. You have found your assembly station, and then you move on.
I haven't watched any of your guys' video about that yet, but that's a great thing. I mean, just imagine how much time that'll save.
Right? No, it was
wonderful. Oh, and what's nice is in case of actual emergency, you just point your phone at the lifeboat and you're instantly transported to land.
But I just see this as kind of in some ways like the next step of that kind of process, because you're absolutely right that I wasn't doing the muster drill like this. The phone is kind of off. It's framing things. And so it's a bit different, because even with the Midship Detective Agency, you had that big, placard kind of in front of you. And sometimes it was kind of, you're trying to maneuver it and also see around it. And so it sounds like this is going to be an even more engaging and more fun fun thing. Yes, you're right, Bob. If you miss the mustard drill, then you have to go to custom class.
So, Rebecca, you were with me 10, 12 years ago when we saw videos on what was coming for the Disney Dream and the Disney Fantasy with the Enchanted Art and the virtual porthole and the Midship Detective Agency and Mickey and the Animator's Palette drawn to magic. Could you have conceived that this was 10 years later? The tech here is out of this world compared to that.
Okay, I'm going to be a little bit of a party pooper. Because of those experiences, I expected something more when the Galaxy Edge datapad was introduced. And so it was actually a kind of a bit of a disappointment, that experience. And this is kind of much more of what I kind of anticipated my datapad experience to be like, much more of this kind of AR mixture of the Disney fantasy on my phone connected with the reality that I was in, like this being my magic spyglass. So yeah. I'm really excited about this idea that, I'm going to see a collection of stars on a wall and, hold my phone up towards it, and then, it unlocks some sort of magic fun. And I am going to be obsessed, and it's going to be embarrassing.
So here's my bit of a party pooper.
Okay.
I'm worried, and I'm not saying this will happen. I'm worried. The cruise is by far my favorite vacation because there's no other way to get this far away from reality. You are cut off from reality on a cruise, unless you want to pay a ton of money, and that's a wonderful thing. I like that midship detective agency. You go get something that does it. I'm not looking forward to seeing everybody walking around with their phones out. I already don't like that the navigator's only on your phone, so people are constantly pulling out the app, and the app is used for so much now. And I'm just worried that it's going to be that much more with these activities, and that's just something I'm not looking forward to, is being on a cruise where everyone is staring at their cell phone.
And that was one of the things that they talked about, is they don't want it to be only this. Like, it's going to be, okay, go to this location. You put down your phone, you go to that location. When you do it, you're not on your phone. Your phone is just a tool for the actual game itself.
Yeah.
I understand the difference that you mean, Doobie, but they don't want the family to be like they are in the parks where everybody's on their phone. They want the phone to be an extension of the game.
Well, and I would argue, Doobie, that since they're paperless, that you won't have that. That's gone, because people are constantly. If the only way you know what's going on is by having this thing out, then you're going to have this thing, because you're constantly checking what's going on.
I agree. I agree. It's happening already, and it's a thing of the past, but this just exacerbates it more. And it may be such a non-issue. I mean, but times change. I'm a cruise romantic. My favorite thing on a cruise is laying on deck 4. I
totally understand, because you and I commented. We were sitting in chairs on the on the upper deck. We were enjoying a drink, and we were just commenting on how many more people we saw walking by with the phone, and you could see as they passed by that it was because they were looking at the navigator, because it wasn't it wasn't that all of a sudden everybody had a lot of data plan or whatever. And I mean, there was plenty of that too, because we were sailing close enough to shore that you could opt into like an international, and then you could still have your data fund. But I can understand that as a concern. But Midship Detective Agency, they did a really great job, I felt, with both the Mickey one and the Muppet one, in that it wasn't too overwhelming in order to complete. It doesn't get in the way of all of the other fun. It's like a nice add-on element to a Disney cruise, but I didn't feel, it doesn't take that much time investment.
This one is definitely. Go on, Doobie.
I was just going to say, in the Oceaneers Club, everything was done via their bands, right? There was nothing in there that had the kids with cell phones.
No, and this is one of the questions that a lot of people, especially the parents, were asking is, what about our kids that don't have phones? Mm-hmm. One, I kind of felt that they're kids that don't have phones. I know Gideon doesn't have one, so
actually Gideon does have a cell phone.
But the nice thing is it is all the family can play it with their different phones. So it can be multi-team players. One of the things that Rebecca will love and Doobie will hate is there are at least 4. I think they said that there were possibly of 6 different locations where you will go to recover your piece of the wishing star.
Yay!
So with that, you will go from one point to the other and do different things. Rebecca, can you bring up the picture of the kids with Cinderella slipper?
Yep.
And then I've got more curmudgeon to come.
So this is in the grand hall, and this is something that is already there. So we're looking more at like some of the tests that we saw at Disneyland, where they had things that became interactive with that. I mean, we kind of saw a little bit with Sorcerers, and then the Play Disney app, like the Peter Pan cube has a lot of that. So
my favorite of these was the Agent P at Epcot.
Yeah, and this one won't be that dramatic where things will do that, but they describe this as you will be helping get this piece, and what happens is Cinderella's magical slipper is what's going to help the ship move. So you'll go out there and you'll do whatever challenge you need to do, and Cinderella's slipper will light up. Aww. And then it'll go up the canopies in the grand hall. So there will be a lighting effect, but it won't be like so dramatic that you're distracted by it. There it is.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that is cool.
That is cool.
So this to me, these experiences that you're describing as a themed entertainment person, this to me sounds more in line with what happens when I use a wand in Diagon Alley, or I use a wand. It's like a little more subtle, but yet clearly my action has caused this effect.
Yes, and that'll be exactly it. And another thing they pointed out is you may have to do some of these challenges multiple times. So you go help Dory and Nemo find their piece, but you may have to go back to do something else.
Wow, I am so excited for this adventure.
Well, the weirdest thing, and this will definitely play more to Doobie being curmudgeon.
Okay.
You don't have to do it all in one day. Since there could be up to 6 adventures, it's not something that can be done in a half hour, 45 minutes, like the midships can be if you take your time. But throughout the cruise, you can do it. You can do it once, or you could do the entire adventure. On the final night of the cruise in the Luna Theater, everybody who's playing is invited in there for the remaking of the Wishing Star. But of course, something goes wrong. And we find out, again, spoilers, if you actually look in the art, you'll see the spoiler anyway. There's a villain behind all of this, and of course, it's Ursula the Sea Witch. So everybody in the theater has to battle Ursula on this giant screen to complete it, and then everything will go. Yes. Everything will reconstruct, and then there will be a bit of a live show celebrating it.
Just give it a few more years, and they'll just implant something in your head. You won't have to carry the cell phone around anymore. Just wait.
Wait, didn't I get that? Didn't I get 2 shots of that?
we do
we're gonna get yanked.
YouTube get plus.
So Jeremiah,
yes,
I know you have several Imagineer phones on your speed dial. Can you just make sure? My favorite thing on a cruise is just to sit on a deck chair in deck 4. The last thing I want to see is a bunch of people playing Pokemon Go in front of me.
That better be
I like the shuffleboard.
Story-free zone.
I like the shuffleboard. I like the people jogging. I don't want Pokemon Go people doing all this stuff. Just make sure they keep deck 4 clear.
Got it. I will contact them about that.
Jimmy's gonna start wearing shirts that say "Don't ruin my deck 4 quiet."
That's right.
Okay. Stay off my deck 4.
So the last 2 things about this game, one of our main concerns was um, so the Disney Parks app. You will download this before you go on the ship because that'll be your welcome. On the ship, the games will all run off the ship Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about any of the data packages, anything. That was one of the main concerns. My biggest concern was I play the Disney Parks app,
Yes.
for really one reason and one reason alone, to get more achievements than Benji or my friend Scott have. Each game you will get a different achievement.
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah, that was my number one question. Was like,
Woohoo!
okay, play Disney Parks app, is there achievements? And they said yes. They also they did make it sound like, just like in the parks, you might be able to buy the pins that go with the achievements. So
Nice.
I'm not saying that I will get back in pin collecting if I can do that, but I will get back in pin collecting if I can do that.
Did they say whether or not this adventure would spill over to Castaway Key?
They didn't. I think that just like Doobie's concern of he doesn't want deck 4, I think Castaway may be it's just on the ship.
Well, we also found Wi-Fi to be a challenge on Castaway Key.
Yeah.
The ship Wi-Fi. So it was lovely. All of a sudden, your navigator's like not quite so accessible when you're on the island. So yeah. But I guess is there anything else that you wanted to know, Mr. Curmudgeon, who doesn't want me to have fun exploring the ship and helping Moana and Peter Pan on all these adventures? It's gonna be so fun. I'm so excited.
Can I say something kind of poetic as we start to close out here that I kind of came up with?
Is it curmudgeon poetic or
No,
this is
not.
sincere. This is
Okay.
sincere because I never thought I was going to be a cruise guy until I took my first cruise. But from after I took my first steps on board the Disney Dream, and now I can't wait for my next cruise. But the Disney Wish has me counting the days. Getting a peek behind the keel for me was just a fantasy, but to actually see some of the new magic coming to this beautiful ship really was a dream come true. And it did leave me in wonder of what else could be coming to the Disney Wish. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We love that. That's the concluding paragraph of Jeremiah's write-up of his experiences exploring the Disney Wish. And we enjoyed it very, very much.
We were reading that. I'm like, I didn't know Jeremiah had that in him. That's really good.
I was like, I didn't know Jeremiah could be so adorable.
So I started writing, and this was something. That final paragraph was written about 2:00 on Tuesday night. So I started writing it, and I was writing it very sincerely, and then I realized that I was calling out the names of the ships, and I was like, "Wow, I am such a nerd right now." And then I just went in. I think the only one that I was missing was the Wonder, and I was like, "Okay, fine, I'll put the Wonder in there now."
So it's so cool. Disney is definitely in the DNA of the team here at LP, and that paragraph for me was like, yeah, for sure, yeah. It was awesome. I read it to Ben.
It was so funny. I
wrote our editors like, oh, check out this last paragraph. How adorable is this?
I was talking to Ben on the phone, and Rebecca's like, "Let me read you this," and we were about to start like, "Okay, what did he say? What flowery language is Jeremiah using now?" And then we're like, "Wait a second, this is good."
They both really enjoyed it. So
I'm glad I've been around for 8 years and I wrote one cheesy paragraph, and that was good.
Hey, it's all these guys. They love the cheese.
That was great.
And I really do mean that. Like, I never thought that I would be a cruise person, and then the experiences that I've gotten really because of you two, because you two started this. I get to have these fun adventures and
That's
fight
not
you
fair.
guys for some of them.
I want these adventures.
I know. That's why I said I get to fight you for some. But
Life's better at sea.
Yeah, it was just such a magical time, and not only was it really amazing that I got to see these new adventures coming before anybody else, I get a walking WDI behind Epcot. Like,
That is fun.
so we're walking through, and they have Mary Poppins hanging from the ceiling from Great Movie Ride, and they had like different signs from Imagination. And we're like, wait, can we? And they're like, no, we have to keep going.
Was the biggest sign no photography?
That was pretty much, they had tasers ready for us. I mean, they didn't make us put our phones in a bag, but that was reiterated over and over and over again. And you know, I've been lucky enough in my time to visit WDI in California, so going to the one here was just amazing, and to see something that nobody had ever seen and get to experience a few of the activities that, you know, nobody will experience until next year was just stand out.
Yay. Well, we're so happy that you got to do it.
Right.
I'm
Happy you had that
so
opportunity.
happy. Yeah. And we are eager to share more of the Disney Wish information as it comes to us here at Laughing Place. We'll be sure to share it with you. Be sure and check out, I'm going to say sure a gazillion times right now. We have several articles posted about the Disney Wish. And we also have a lot of information on Laughing Place about yesterday's announcement of the Disney Genie coming to Disneyland and Walt Disney World later this year. That is their new kind of complimentary and paid service for they're phasing out Fast Pass. They're bringing this in. So go check out the articles and you can learn, you know, all the details about that as well. So I guess that's it for us now. Do we have anything else that I should mention? I think we're kind of done with our YouTube content for today.
Yeah, I think so.
We'll be back over the weekend.
Yes, and we've got a lot of coverage coming up today, though. I see our VP of Alcohol is covering the SeaWorld Craft Beer Festival tomorrow, so way to go there, Mac. You got that one going. And yeah, stay tuned. We've always got a ton of stuff going on.
Yep.
Like, subscribe, ring the dingy dingy.
Yep, you'll learn more about Peppa. Why Jeremiah has Peppa Pig cookies. So there we go. So yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll see you all real soon.
Ahoy! Bye. How can I not use ahoy? Oh my goodness.
Ahoy! Ahoy! Ahoy!